Greetings and welcome. How are we all feeling at the moment? Today's topic is on assumptions and beliefs. And now we all create assumptions and we all have beliefs. And the beliefs that we create are based on our experiences and what we have learned from them. And our assumptions are what we make based on our beliefs. And now assumptions and beliefs work hand in hand. When we believe something, we assume it to be that way. It's so amazing how as soon as we believe something, we expect it to be true. We expect it to be that way. But that's what leads to disappointment and anger and loss, and is to just have beliefs about yourself, the way things should be and the way other people should react and respond. And assumptions are dangerous because when we are operating out of a belief, we make assumptions about that belief. Remember, it all has to do with what we accept as truth. What is a yes for you and no for you, what's wrong and right, how things should be, how things shouldn't be. It's an attitude that we adopt. When we are making assumptions, we adopt an attitude on how we view things, what our perspective is. And the attitude that we adopt will determine how much we operate out of our limiting beliefs and the assumptions that we make. Remember, beliefs are created through past experiences. The beliefs that you've had in the past will affect the beliefs you create now, because we tend to operate out of what we're already feeling. We tend to attract more of what we already have. And beliefs are created through learnings from memories and experiences. And we decide based on those outcomes how things should be, how things shouldn't be, and what we expect from life and what we expect from other people. And assuming is just another form of judgment. It's the earliest stages of judgment, is assuming. And assumptions are based on what we believe the way things should be. If you have a belief on the way something should be and it ends up not working out like that, then you get angry and then you feel like a shift in perspective. And that's because we can never assume things should be a specific way, because life is unpredictable. People are imperfect. Things happen, situations, circumstances, experiences. And the more we assume things should be a certain way, the more dissatisfied you're going to become with life, because hardly ever do things work out exactly as planned, because things happen. And that's why it's important to remove the assumptions of what things should be like and how exactly things should go. And assumptions and our expectations. When we assume something, we expect things to be a certain way. And when we expect things to be a certain way, we judge it that way. And expectations are basically just how you define things to be, how you want things to be. And assumptions are just a form of judgment, because if something goes against your assumptions, you're going to judge it. And your expectations also cause judgment, because you judge things based on the way that you have accepted that they should be and people should be a specific way. This is rigid thinking, because hardly ever is someone going to be the exact image that you have created them to be in your mind. And an assumption becomes a belief when we assign meaning to it, when it has a place in our life, when we have assigned a label to it. And when we make meaning from that belief or from that assumption, and that creates a belief, we implement it. We tend to implement the things that we naturally gravitate towards. And what we believe to be true, we assume it is that way. And that's why assumptions are the opposite of truth. And an assumption can be so damaging to your relationships, and especially when you don't have good communication, because it's important to communicate your needs in a relationship, but not to assume the worst of someone, not to assume the best of someone, because that's going to cause a rift in your connection. A bond is broken when you start judging that person. It's about unconditional acceptance. And if you start assuming something about someone or judging them, then they're not going to trust you, because they're not going to see you as a reliable person anymore. So it's important that you understand that assumptions are really, really bad for relationships. It's rather important to communicate your needs and things that you require from the relationship, so you can both be happy and so you can both do well. And it's important to understand that assumptions that become beliefs are limiting by nature. They destroy relationships. They create mental blocks, limitations, and issues with adjustment and perspective. And assumptions are really dangerous because they're never a good thing. Even if you assume the best, chances are every time you make an assumption, I'd say there's a 70% chance of you being disappointed, because the healthiest way to live is to not have expectations, to not create assumptions, and to not create beliefs that are backed up by opinion instead of fact. And what you believe, you will perceive. The more you reinforce a belief, the more you will relate to it, the more it will make sense to you in your life, the more you will reinforce it. So what you believe, you will perceive, and that is what leads to assumptions. When things don't fit your perspective, then you assume and you judge instead of unconditionally accepting. Remember, we're not mind readers. We cannot jump into someone's consciousness. We cannot have a cord that attaches our psyche to another person's psyche. So it's important that you understand that not everyone operates out of the same beliefs, and it's important to be respectful of other people's truths, of the way that other people perceive things, the beliefs that they create from their past experiences and their lives. It's important to remove assumptions, and it's also important to sort of gauge where these beliefs are coming from. And remember, assumptions and beliefs are hardly ever truth-based. It's created by a meaning that we create from an experience that makes sense to us, that we relate to. Believing your assumptions can be really bad because it leads to a sense of denial where you are no longer able to accept things for what they are, acknowledge things, and you're not able to see beyond your own beliefs. And this denial can really grow into something that is incredibly destructive, and this is delusion. And the delusion that you think everything in your world is the way that the world is, and that is limiting and very destructive by nature. Assumptions and beliefs have no place in connection, communication, and self-love. So remember, you are unique and valuable. Take care of that stunning person. Stay strong wherever you're from. You are worthy.